All right. And then while we wait for the rest of everybody to get in here, I just want to share this video just to give them a few more minutes to get in.
To celebrate Black History Month. During February, we're honoring 4 outstanding young people who are making a difference in our community.
WRO's Micaiah Thurman introduces us to a Rocky Mountain native who has raised thousands of dollars to help students pay for college.
28-year-old Kevin Jones launched the BAC Scholarship Fund 3 years ago. The nonprofit provides scholarship and mentorship to dozens of graduating high school students in eastern North Carolina.
It takes a lot of energy, time, and commitment to raise $21,000.
Money is the hard thing to come by.
But to do all that work only to give it away to teenagers, well, that would leave many scratching their heads. That's unless you're Kevin Jones, who awards that money to make sure that low-income students can afford college.
Hey, how you doing?
The inspiration for his one-man education initiative started years ago with his own personal struggle.
Not only did I become a teen parent before I even finished my first semester of college, but my dad lost his job, which narrowed the household income down to 1.
Jones's experience made him determined to make a difference. So he started BAC Scholarship Fund and went on the hunt for star students in financial need like Patrick Battle.
I'm the first person to go to a 4-year university for my family, so that's the first question. After you get your acceptance, it's like, okay, how are we going to pay for this?
The uncertainty of Battle's question was daunting. Thankfully, Jones became the answer, giving the high school senior more than $1,200 to finance his first year in college.
He opened so many doors for me, I can't even thank him enough. So that's my mentor. That's the guy who had me on straight, who made me as sharp as I am right now.
Battle is now one of 20 other scholarship recipients. While Jones is proud of that number, he has a bigger goal in sight.
It's very humbling, but it sort of fuels me to look for that next child.
And it's because of his passion, which continues to create opportunities for the next generation, that we honor Kevin Jones with WRAL's 2017 Celebrating Black History Month Award.
This is great.
Micaiah Thurman, WRAL News, Nash County.
This year, Jones hopes to raise $20,000, which will allow him to award even more scholarships. For more information on his program or to see our other nominees, go to WRAL.com and search Black History. We'll share these inspiring stories every Friday at 5:30 on WRAL. You can also watch our Celebrating Black History reports in our 10:30 half hour on Fox 50.
Hi, Jim. This is not your...
All right, we didn't come here to watch the news, right? So I gotta... Here we go. All right, so success in grad school and beyond. That's why we're here. And one thing that I really did not like when I was coming through school is success sort of worked its way into becoming some dry, mundane topic, right? It sort of made you not even want to be successful because you get people up here just to talk for an hour and no excitement. So I need a little energy from you. So I'm going to say, oh, what up, y'all? And then y'all respond, oh, what up, Kev? All right, I need the energy. All right, so y'all ready? Got it? Everybody got it? All right. Oh, what up, y'all? Oh, what up, Kev? What's up? So, success in grad school and beyond. So, Dr. Jones, Dr. Perkins, Dr. Rillet, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And this is a fantastic program that will yield just so many benefits in the future for all of the students. To the students, not long ago I was in your seats. I was competing for opportunities. I know what it's like to have to beat people out. And quite frankly, there are students at your universities who wanted to be here today and they're not. And you are. And that's something to be proud of. So lick your fingers right quick and just give yourselves a round of applause. So, who am I? So, of course, you heard the bio, which is more of an elevator speech. You know, it's more of the highlights. But I feel like to really get to the substance of a good discussion, I want to give you a little bit more about myself. So first things first, if you're looking for somebody who had it all together in college, if you're looking for somebody who has some rigid, regimented 10-point plan that they followed to a T, if you're looking for somebody who was part of dozens of organizations on campus and SGA president. If you're looking for somebody with a PhD, that's not me. So you will be disappointed. So my childhood was great. I mean, I had a great childhood. Two-parent household by the grace of God. Eventually my sister came along. As you can see, I didn't have a problem eating. I was a little chunky. But the reality is that there were plenty of times, well, sometimes, I won't say plenty, but there were some times when all we had to eat was hot dogs and beans and Spam sandwiches. Anybody ever had Spam sandwiches? Yeah. That's it. The mayonnaise and yeah. So as you can see, I didn't stop eating. I was weighing in at about 5'2", 185 pounds. And so this was about age 12. So what happened was I started taking an interest in girls, right? Like middle school, which is, but girls weren't taking an interest in me. And so what I did was I've always been a good researcher. So I researched the market, I researched the demand, and girls in early 2000s, they were looking for the little Bow Wow prototype, right? That's what they were going after. So with the help of puberty, I slimmed down a little bit, I grew my hair out. And I'm talking little Bow Wow, not the Instagram, in coach class, stunting like you're on not that Bow Wow. All right, so in high school, I was an athlete, did track and football, which was the extent to which my extracurriculars went. I had a sense of humor. That's me dressed up like Mr. Brown in high school from the Medea plays. After that, it was on to college. I was a first-generation college student. I had a few older cousins who were maybe 20 years my senior who went on to school before me. But I was the first in a long time and one of few out of maybe like 25, 30 maybe grandkids. It was a big time. Everything was going great until about 3 months into my freshman year when I got a call from my girlfriend saying I'm pregnant. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. As you can see, I didn't even know how to make my bed on the top bunk. So let alone knowing how to raise an entire human being, right? So what did I do? I didn't know what the future held after I got this news, but I knew that I had to be in my daughter's life. I know too many people who evade their responsibility as a father, and that couldn't be me. So I did what I thought was best at the time, and really what was best at the time. I dropped out of school. And so I packed up into my freshman year, and I went to be a dad. And so that's my little girl, the day she was born. And having a kid really changed me. It really changed me. And so, but as I got into parenthood, I realized that there were things that I needed school to do. School was a tool, and I needed to get back into school. And so that's another one. She was a little older. And that's the fitted hats. Fitted hats are so out of style now, right? And a do-rag, right? But nonetheless, I got back into school, and I ended up going to North Carolina A&T State University. And my declared major was engineering, but my real major was partying, as you can tell. And so this is in Cooper Hall for all the Aggies. It's my room in Cooper Hall. So, and I took partying so seriously, I even got a job working at the club. So from Wednesday to Sunday, literally, I was at Jab's Ultra Bar on High Point Road working. And that's now a parking lot, so I really feel old when I go to Greensboro now. But all of my hard work in the party scene led me to a 1.7 GPA. Yeah, I know. It was actually like a 1.6 something, but I like rounding up. But what that did is I was 3 semesters into school, and I got a letter from A&T saying that, hey, you can't come back. I flunked out of school. And unless I had $10,000, $12,000 laying around, then they would take it, and I can go fail all I want. But I didn't have the money, but I got out pen and paper. I told you I like rounding up, so I'm good with numbers. So got out pen and paper, and I figured that I needed 2 classes over the summer to get to a 2.0, which would get me back in satisfactory academic standing. So I worked 18-hour days. I was a waiter at a seafood restaurant, and I stocked shelves at Harris Teeter overnight for the entire first session of summer school. And then, so I saved the money up just in time in order to get the money, pay the school, take the classes. I got the A's, but then when grades were posted, I told you I like rounding up, so I didn't have a 2.0, I had a 1.96. So I called over to Dowdy. All the Aggies know what Dowdy is, a financial aid building. Called over to Dowdy, And I'm like, because I hadn't told my parents, I hadn't told my girlfriend, I hadn't told nobody. I mean, I wouldn't have told God if he didn't already know, because I was so disappointed in myself. So 1.96, I called, put my nice professional voice on, as good as anybody could do at the age of I think I was 20 at the time. But man, I was like, what can I do? They said, well, we don't know what you're going to do, but we can't let you in. Like, we don't round up. You round up, we don't round up. 1.96 is what it is. And so they said one last thing you can do. You can come to Greensboro, you can make an appointment with Financial Aid Review Board, and you can plead your case. So the longest 2.5-hour drive I've ever made, I made it. I sat there. I sat before 5 women. I'll never forget it. And I pleaded my case. And it got emotional. I even let a tear drop. Now, it was a gangster teardrop. It was a gangster, but it fell. And luckily enough, they let me back in. And so the mop bucket, a very vivid memory I have of my parents. They fell on hard times one time. Both of them lost their jobs. My mom was pregnant with my sister, and they had to clean a neighborhood laundromat to keep the lights on. And so they had to get me out of bed at 10 o'clock whenever the laundromat closed. And they had to lay me on. If anybody's ever used laundromat back in the day, there was these tall, long folding tables. Hard plastic. They were ugly yellow or off-white. So I would lay on that, and I would watch my dad take out the trash and clean out the dryers. I would watch my mom sweep and mop the floors, pregnant with my sister. So I realized that once I got my second chance at A&T, I decided to be on a straight and narrow, because I knew just how close I'd come to mopping floors. And don't get me wrong, I have a family. Nothing wrong. Mopping floors is not beneath me. If the only thing between my family and a meal is a mop in a bucket, I'm mopping the hell out of some floors, and nobody's going to mop better than me. But to have to mop floors because of my poor decision making was a disrespect to my parents and the sacrifices they made. And so I made sure that I never had to mop floors due to my poor decision making. So that led to an internship 3 semesters later, after being on a straight and narrow with the Department of Transportation. It was the best 10 weeks ever. I learned so much. And I even was offered a federal job, before I graduated from A&T. And so I moved up to D.C., lived out of my aunt's basement, cut some deals with some professors that let me take lecture classes online and submit my work online. And I was able, before even I graduated from college, I had health benefits for my little girl. And that was just something that, I needed to do. And I was fortunate enough to do. So I graduated. Aggies, your day is coming like this. I graduated. As a picture of me and my parents at graduation. And then after graduation, I got sent to Lincoln, Nebraska to continue working with the U.S. Department of Transportation. And since Nebraska, my life has taken off. Well, since really being employed, because I've had so many opportunities, I've taken advantage of them. I've worked on some amazing projects. I've worked with even better people. So this is me and the former Transportation Secretary, Anthony Fox. This is me with Congressman John Lewis at an event at DOT where I was, among others, recognized. And this is me at the White House when I was recognized for my work in transportation. And this is with Sean Donovan, who was a former, I think he was a HUD director, but he was director of OMB when this picture was taken, special assistant to the President Obama. This is me and Senator Tim Kaine. And this is a cool picture because it shows me on the left as an intern on a field trip at the Capitol. And then 6 years later, almost to the day when I took my intern to the Capitol, and it's the same North Carolina statue and everything, but it really just captures the growth that I've had in the last 6 years. So, in the words of Forrest Gump, now that we're not strangers anymore, who wants to be successful? Show of hands. All right, good. Hands down. Now, this is going to move fast because we're short on time and I got a lot of content, so have your pen and paper out. Any questions you want to ask, we're going to get to those. But this is going to go faster than your first refund check. So I was talking to a professor of mine, former professor, and she's been in academia for decades, and she has a PhD. And I said, what's the difference between an average grad school student and an exceptional grad school student? And I thought it was thought-provoking. I thought that it would be something she would have to ponder, even with all of her intelligence. But she, without even missing the beat, she said, I tell you, I picture like 2 mountains. You have Mount College and you have Mount Professional. Average grad school students, their approach to grad school is as if they're still climbing Mount College. And she said the exceptional students, they know that grad school puts them at the base of Mount Professional. And it was real because it's true. And so as I'm digesting that, then she just lays it on me in 2 words. She said, I'm going to tell you this. Average grad school students they succeed in grad school. But exceptional grad school students, they succeed in life. And that's what this is. Now, Mount College, the minute you graduate with your bachelor's, you are done with college. Grad school is not a continuation of college. It's not. You got to change how you look at it. It's Mount Professional, a much harder mountain to scale. There are plenty of sides to go up, but if you go up the grad school side, you're on Mount Professional, and you need to approach it as such. So I'm a Redskins fan. I'm a sports guy. I have a lot of sports connections in here. All right, I'm a Redskins fan, and as much as this pains me, learn from RG3. Learn from Reggie Bush. Now, what did they do? Anybody who knows anything about football, these are 2 of the greatest football players of our lifetime. Statistically, emotionally, just everything. But what can you learn from these 2? What you learn from them is that in college, they were at the top of their class. They ran circles around the competition. There was nobody, literally nobody greater. We all saw the Heisman Trophy yesterday. I mean, you know what that looks like on the field. They were great. But despite being at the top of their class in college, they didn't make the adjustment once they got into the professional realm of the professional spectrum. And when you don't make the adjustment and you think you can run circles around competition the way you did in college, in the professional world, this is what happens. You get a headache. You get a headache. Or this happens, like it happened to Reggie Bush. Because here's the thing. I told you earlier, you beat out some of your classmates to be here today. But the reality is, you beat your classmates out. What does that mean to them? That means they may be disappointed. They call mom, dad, uncle, favorite cousin and say, hey, you know what? I didn't get it. I can't go. Boo-hoo. Or they get to spend more time partying or hanging out with their friends. But when you get along the professional spectrum, when you get an opportunity that somebody else doesn't get and they're shooting for, that means a lot of times your promotion is somebody else's demotion. And what that means is that when you get promoted and me and you are in the same company, your promotion means I can't take my wife on vacation. It means I can't take my kids to Disney World. And I'm not going to let you mess up my trip to Disney World. So they hit harder. It's more competitive. They move faster, and you got to make the adjustment. Another thing, this is RG3 and his dad. This is RG3 and his dad when RG3 accepted his first professional job. This is dad watching him at practice. This is dad in front of the water cooler. This is dad talking to the supervisor. This is bad. There is no reason, and this happens. If it didn't happen, I wouldn't be talking to you about it. There is no reason your mom, dad, favorite uncle, cousin, sister, anybody in your family should be contacting anybody along your professional spectrum and your professional career. Nobody. If you die, an email maybe will suffice, right? But other than that, there's no reason, and it happens, and you'll be surprised. And especially as millennials, there's very few ways to just discredit yourself quicker in the professional world than to have a parent contact a supervisor or a sister or anybody. Nobody should be speaking up for you, because the happy times will turn to you being sidelined with a smug on your face. And then you'll be asked to leave. You'll be asked to leave. You're an adult. The minute you go across that stage with your bachelor's, you are a professional. Whether you go into the workforce, whether you go into grad school, no matter what you do, you're a professional. You're an adult. This is where your family belongs. This is where dad and mom and sister belong. On the sidelines, watching you when you do good, picking you up when you do bad. So I'm going to give you a few things that matter, but first I want to give you some things that don't matter when it comes to success in grad school and beyond. Success along this professional spectrum. So where you went to school? So growing up in North Carolina, there are 3 large public institutions that it's a common misconception that unless you go to these 3 large public institutions in the state, your degree means a little less. Your preparation for the real world, to contribute to the world, is a little bit diminished if you don't go to these schools. A&T is not one of these schools. But what I realized, and I struggle with this, and I don't want you to struggle with it, because a lot of you go to small schools, and your school is not the biggest school in the state that you go to school in. That's safe to say. So here's the thing. if you find yourself in a room with Ivy League, with PhDs, with 3 PhDs in one person, whatever. If you find yourself in a room or on a project, because it's going to happen. You're going to be entry level. You're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole very soon. Okay? And what that means is you're going to be the most undocumented, accomplished person in the room. But you can't let that intimidate you. There are going to be people who from Ivy Leagues or from very prestigious schools poke their chest out, use words, whatever. But if you're in the room with them, you can contribute. And you're expected to perform and expected to produce. And it's up to you whether you do it or not. Because the opportunity will be there. Who knows who this is? It took too long. But you know his dad, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows who that is? But you know his son, right? Right. Everybody knows, especially the girls. The girls know his son, huh? So, again, growing up, I thought that because I had working class parents, because I didn't come from a family of doctors, lawyers, and engineers, that my level of success was capped off. It had a ceiling. That's what I thought. And I really thought that through much of college. But your family background, who your daddy is, who your mom is, whatever your family looks like, it doesn't matter anymore. Your family cannot support you enough or hold you back enough from what you want to do. It's not an excuse. Even if you come from wealthy, successful, very well-established network of parents, it doesn't matter. What it took for them to get where they are, they can't pass that to you, and they can't buy it. You either got it or you don't. And so you got to make sure you don't let your family background determine your success. And just for the record, these are 2 people who knew their dads very little, if at all, President Obama and Secretary Anthony Fox. And they turned out pretty well. And I look at it like tulips. So I look at ultimate success like a tulip. So more or less, 2 ways to get a tulip. From a tulip bulb or a tulip seed. I'm no horticulture expert. I'm keeping this very basic, very plain. Okay? Bulbs, you put them in the ground, cover them with dirt, give them water and sunlight. In about a year, you'll have a tulip. With seeds, though, you put them in the ground, cover them with dirt, give them water, give them sunlight. After a year, you won't have anything. After 2 years, you won't have much. It takes up to 3 years sometimes for tulip seeds to turn into tulips because the roots have to set. Again, I'm not going to even embarrass myself trying to be a horticulturalist. But the thing is that we all know the tulip bulb. Some of you may be tulip bulbs. Nothing wrong with that, right? You're a little more developed. You're a little more polished. You're a little more prepared to compete. But we have some seeds in the room, too. And you need to be okay with being a seed. You need to own. The speaker yesterday mentioned own everything. Own being a seed. It doesn't mean you won't reach ultimate success. It just means it'll take a little longer for you to get there. But you will still bloom in the same exact way as the bulbs. And the beauty of it is that, because I was a seed, a first generation student, my parents grew up in D.C. I was born in D.C. And they moved there, quick backstory, just because the crime was so bad in the early 90s. They moved to North Carolina just to give a better life to me. But working in the federal government was like a mystery to my parents. I mean, like my dad literally cried when I told him I got an internship with the federal government. Because being in D.C., I mean, he knew people. Of course he knew people, but it was a mystery. So the thing is that I was a seed in many respects. But every bulb started from a seed. And so if you're not a bulb, again, if you are a bulb, perfect. You have you're going to do well. But if you're not a bulb and you're a seed, it's your job to put the work in underground so that your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews, kids you don't even know, so that they can have that bulb start that you didn't have. All right, major key alert. Secure the bag alert. All right, so I need a volunteer. I'm going to point somebody out if you don't hurry up and get up. All right, let me get you right here. Yeah, you got something right there. Yeah. I need one more volunteer to just stand, sort of. Amber, yeah. You can get right there at the end. All right, so here's the thing. Your dream job, what is it? Man. Dream job, come on, throw one at me. I know you think about it at night. Come on.
Civil engineer officer in the Air Force.
Civil engineer, okay. So, Amber, right? Amber is everything you could ever want in civil engineering, all right? Okay, so I want you to stand here, and I'm going to stand here. Now, when I say go, you're going to walk to everything you want in civil engineering, all right? And along the way, we're going to hook arms, and we're going to walk together.
Okay.
You got that?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go. All right, so go. All right, we reached it, right? Now go back to your spot. You strong, man. You lift weights, huh?
I just wanted it that bad.
All right, so then do the same thing. Same thing, and when I say go, we're going to hook arms. All right, go. Hey, what's up, man? What's up? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. All right, so good job. Thanks, Amber. So, what was different between the first time and the second time?
The first time he didn't have resistance, the second time he did.
Absolutely. And so, what do you think that means?
There's going to be challenges you have to push through.
No, that's true, but that's not what I was going for. What do you think?
Sometimes you're going to have people along the way that are going to help you change the job, and then sometimes you're going to have people that are
Right. Well, that's better. What I want you to get from this is, as you're going towards your goals and your dreams, you have to be very intentional about who you walk with. Because the first time, because when he and I walked together, the first time, when we walk together anytime, one of two things are going to happen. It's scientifically proven there's no other than two outcomes. Either I'm going to adjust to his pace or he's going to adjust to mine. And we've been walking together. The first time, he put the 70-pound curl bicep on me and just sort of dragged me, but I adjusted to his pace. But the second time, I held him up. And the thing is, when you walk across the stage and you're going off to your dreams, whether it be grad school, whether it be workforce, whether it be whatever, you're going towards something. You're not going to be the only one going towards it. There's plenty of other people going towards it. And if you hook up with people, and one thing I was hoping you would say is that he chose to connect with me. He hooked up with me. I didn't hook up with him. Right? So when you're walking, you got to be very intentional about who you walk with, because the last thing you can afford to do is to be slowed down. So Flashback Friday. This is a throwback picture of every single one of us in the room. And this is us. This is us right here. So we talk about odds. We talk about, we get your bachelor's and then you get your master's, and that'll sort of increase the odds of you gaining employment and success in your industry. Or you get your PhD, it increases the odds, and if you have a certain amount of tenacity and grit and everything else, it increases. But on that magical night when mom and dad got together, we were old enough to know about the birds and the bees, right? Yeah. So it was more than 300 million, 400 million options in the womb. That uncle that has too much to drink at the cookouts and gets slumped over, that's your dad's brother. He has those genes too. That was an option. But what happened is you made it. 1 in 400 million. You'll never have those odds to overcome again. So don't let anything stop you from getting discouraged or keep you from starting. Social media. It's very easy to get caught up in this girl. She's on Snapchat, she's on IG, hashtag carrots, and here you are, with more under the surface, and it doesn't appear that you have much. And here homegirl is getting all the likes, everybody's sliding in her DM and her inbox, but it's easy to look at that and feel like you're not doing enough because you can't see what's beneath the surface. Don't get caught up in that, because it'll throw you off. And you will start comparing yourself to false standards, and you will start comparing your play-by-play, your practices, your bumps, your bruises to people's Sports Center highlights. And it's not something that's even conducive to success. So who knows who this is? All right. Now who knows okay, so there's Jay-Z on the left. Who knows who's on the right? Nah, see, you took too long. Okay, so everybody wants a level of success like Jay-Z has in their industry. Whatever the equivalent in your industry and your desired field, owning a team, having an amazingly successful spouse, having what else? International artists, all of that. Everybody wants Jay-Z's success in their industry. But few people know that before he was on the run with Beyonce, he was on Big Daddy Kane's Chocolate City tour. Now, you can fact check me, you can do the homework. But what happened is, Big Daddy Kane was he was international. He was top of the billboards. He was very popular. He was everything you would want to be as a rap artist in late 80s, early 90s. He had a rap tour. He was from New York. He had a rap tour. And Jay-Z was some kid in New York who carried his bags to and from the bus. Carried his bags. And Big Daddy Kane was a flamboyant performer. He was sort of the perfect mix between like hip-hop and R&B. So he would change outfits during his sets. And what happened was, sometimes Jay-Z got so good at carrying bags that he would let Jay-Z rap for the crowd while he went and changed clothes with the dancers. Who knows who this is? You know who that is, right? Yeah, President Obama. Now look at the picture of these two guys that I found. So that's Cam Newton on the sideline, helmet nowhere in sight. He ain't gonna smell the field in this picture, right? He's dapping up Tim Tebow, Heisman winning quarterback. Cam Newton was backing him up. If you look here, during Hurricane Katrina, all the important people were asked to come and shake hands and kiss babies and just give people hope, right? Not Obama. He wasn't asked to do that. He's holding a jacket, watching. So what does that mean? You can't waste a journey. Whatever you want to be, your ideal version of success, you're not going to get it next year. I hate to break it to you. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get it the year after that. And I'm talking about your ideal. I'm not talking goals along the way. I'm talking the ultimate success. You won't reach it. There's a journey attached to what you want. And what I want you to remember is that in order to be future Hall of Fame quarterback, in order to be Jay-Z or have his level of success, in order to be the president, there are things along your journey that you will not pick up, that you will not get unless you're willing to carry bags and hold jackets. And you got to do it. Who knows who this is? Lil' Kim, right? And Nicki Minaj. Who knows who that is? Cardi B, absolutely. Nothing new under the sun. It's very easy as a grad school student, as a you start to get six figures or you get your PhD or whatever. It's easy to think that you are the sugar honey iced tea, right? It's easy to think that, but nothing new under the sun. Cardi B's rise, her rise has been very similar to watching Nicki Minaj's rise. And I know Nicki Minaj's rise because I was in Greensboro when she was working at a shoe store. Again, you can fact check me. I'm not giving you anything false. She was working at a shoe store in Greensboro less than 10 years ago, well, maybe a little, right at 10 years ago. She was working with a guy named Fendi who really put her on, and she took off. And before that, it was Lil' Kim. And for all the esteemed leaders back here, Pam Grier started all of it, right? So here's the thing. You have to be a student of your success. Because there's too short a time and too many mistakes that can be made if you don't study what has made people successful and what has made people fail. So I have a picture of some feet. Yeah, anybody's feet look like this? Okay, now who do you think these feet belong to? They're her feet. A prima ballerina. Now, in your industry, as you set your goals and you study and you become a student of the game, so to speak, you're going to identify these prima ballerinas. Now, prima ballerinas are the top ballerinas in the world. All little ballerinas want to grow up and be prima ballerinas, right? And no different from how you are going to identify people that you want to be like and emulate and have similar success to. But the thing is, there are plenty of people who reach their goals and reach their level of success, and they never know the cost of that success. They never know what the feet look like. Now, I'm not telling you to go look at your favorite doctorate professor's feet. But what I'm telling you is have a conversation, read a book, look at YouTube. Because if you don't know the cost of success, you're going to be ill prepared for the success that you're chasing. You have to know the cost of success. So Emmitt Smith, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Jerry Rice. Now, for those of you who don't know football, you know that the purpose of any game is to do what? Absolutely. No, we'll win. Yeah, you're taking it far, man. You're just going to win a game first. But to win a game. Now, in football, how do you win a game?
Just putting points on the board.
Putting points on the board. So, for those of you who don't know, Emmitt Smith running the ball, one of the all-time leading scorers. You get 6 points for each touchdown, whether you pass it or you throw it. But none of these guys are the leading scorers in all of football. This is your guy, all-time leading scorer in the NFL. Morton Anderson, he's a kicker. He's a kicker. And if you thought Emmitt Smith or Brett Favre or Tom Brady was anywhere near Morton Anderson, you're wrong, because he's number one. 2 through about 27, 28 are kickers too. And actually, we learned yesterday in my group that the all-time leading scorer from the University of Nebraska is a walk-on kicker. Why is that important? It's important because where you're going to the pros, right? I'm keep saying you're going into the professional realm along the professional spectrum. Everything is professional. It's very easy to think that you can score touchdowns tomorrow with the points you got today. It doesn't happen. And the thing is that you got to do the little things. You got to do the little things, because everybody, where you're going, everybody has a degree. Everybody's smart. You may have 1 or 2 little freckles of just people who don't use their intelligence the right way. You may label them stupid. They're not stupid. Everybody's smart. What sets you apart is the little things. So this is Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron is the all-time leading home run scorer in all of baseball. All baseball players that have ever walked the face of the planet, nobody's hit more home runs than Hank Aaron. Now, why is that important? It's important because he had nearly double the amount of strikeouts, but he still hit the most home runs. And so as you get into the workforce, as you get into grad school, as you get into chasing your dreams, you're going to strike out. You're going to miss the ball. It's going to happen. Get over it. You're going to fall on your face. Go home, cry, talk to who you need to talk to, read whatever book you need to read, and you keep swinging. You got to keep swinging. And the interesting thing to take it a step further, he had 3,771 hits. That's how many times he hit the ball. So what you can't forget is, as you worry about you on your track to success, is the RBIs, the runs batted in. So that means out of 3,700 hits, every time of those times he hit the ball, 2,297 of them, him hitting the ball got somebody else to score. And if you reach success and your success never helps anybody else win, you're not successful. I hate to break it to you. You're not. So this is me and David Howard. David is the Chief Deputy Secretary of Transportation at North Carolina DOT. Now, the interesting story to David is that he was appointed by the president during the previous administration to a leadership position in U.S. DOT. So long story short, we got an email and said, hey, David Howard's coming. Congratulations, blah, 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 all the political stuff, right? And so I Googled him. I want to know what he looked like. So I found out what he looked like. 3 days later, I end up in Washington, up at headquarters. There's a big event. All the political people are there. And I see David. You see, he's a big, tall guy. You're not going to miss him among a bunch of, little people. So I see him, and I see him sit down. So I look to the left, look to the right of him. The seats are taken. So there's one behind him. So I hurry up over there and I go sit down. Enjoy the event at DOT. And I hear somebody ask him afterwards. They say, yeah, David, how are things going? What do you got on the rest of your agenda? This is around 11. The event went from maybe 11 to 12. And so he's like, oh, well, it's a busy day. I got a 1 o'clock meeting, but I got to get some lunch. I haven't eaten all day. And so I said, Now, anybody who's ever seen DOT headquarters, if you haven't, I'm going to tell you, it's 2 buildings, 10 stories tall, but there's only one cafeteria. Only one place to get food, baby. And so what I did was, I said, okay, he'll be there. He got to go eat. He said it. He's going to go eat. And he's a big guy. He can't afford to not have. He can't afford to not have caloric intake, right? So I go. And there's a place. It's hard to describe, but there's a spot where if you're going to the cafeteria from where he was standing, you have to pass that spot. And so what I did was I went and stood at that spot, texting my wife, and I'm married by now, and I did marry my high school sweetheart. So, we have 2 babies, and, so my girlfriend I talked about is now my wife. So I'm texting my wife, and I'm just on Facebook and all of that. And then I see him coming. So then I put my phone away and act like I'm just walking, the other way. And then I introduce myself. I'm like, hey, David, how are you? I said, Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, how are you? Like, oh, no, please call me David. I said, well, how's he's from Charlotte. So I said, well, how's D.C. compared to Charlotte? He said, well, I'm adjusting if I can just get something to eat. Oh, you hungry? Oh, okay, well, the cafeteria is right this way. And so took him to the cafeteria, and he ended up becoming a very good mentor. And actually, he got, and this is just to draw another sports parallel. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional and strategic about your mentors. Mentorship is nothing magical. You see people, you like what they do, you reach out to them. And one thing I've learned about all successful people, they like talking about themselves because they're always asked to put out fires. They're always asked to solve problems. They're always asked to fire people. Nobody asks them what they think. Nobody loves on leaders, right? So if you get a chance, you just ask them. My go-to question, I'm going to give y'all a secret. I wish the camera wasn't on because I don't want this to get out. But you just ask somebody, you say, sir or ma'am, what is it that you wish you knew when you were my age? That's it. That opens up so many doors, and you'll get a glimpse into the cost of success, and you'll get a glimpse into more of what it takes, not just what you read and not just what you learn in school. So be strategic and intentional like an NFL team. You got to draft people. You got to put them on your board, and you got to go get them and recruit them. So something that came from my relationship with Mr. Howard is a relationship with Secretary Anthony Fox. So what happened was, if you notice, this was a commencement speech he gave at Monmouth University. And what doesn't he have on that you normally have on in these types of settings? A cap. Right. So I get a call. Again, just for me, building relationships and making connections. I get a call, 202 number. Says, Kevin, your country needs you. I said, what? And it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So they say, your country. I'm like, well, what's up? Like, I'm not, I have a brother in war, like I don't know about war right now, so, but they said Secretary Fox left his hat, left his cap in Washington. And I think Monmouth is in New Jersey or somewhere near or in New England. But said, we're up here. And we're going to be in Greensboro tomorrow, and we need you to bring. If you said you were coming to Greensboro, because here's the thing, he was a commencement speaker at A&T the next day, and I found out about it, and so I told Mr. Howard, David Howard, that I was going to Greensboro. I had no intentions of going to Greensboro, but I said, hey, look, I'm gonna tell him I'm going there, so he can try to get me to shadow the secretary, and I can just hang out with a presidential cabinet member. So got a call saying I was needed. So I drove from Richmond, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, up to D.C., got there before 5 o'clock when his executive secretary left for the day, picked up the cap, drove back to Richmond. I told my wife the story, and I couldn't sleep, but I left Richmond at 3 a.m. so I can get to Greensboro by about 7 and be there in time to go through Secret Service and all that stuff. So long story short, this is me the next morning. See the bags under my eyes? See how tired I look? But if you look right there, it says Fox, like that's his cap. And that's me in front of the Corey Convention Center, which is where I met the secretary, and we rode to the graduation in the Secret Service detail, and look what's in his hand, the cap. So, and he even wrote me into his commencement speech, which was pretty cool. And this was just 2016. And while I was there, so this is Janice Bryant Howroyd, who's one of the first African-American billionaire women. And she actually went to A&T, and I got to meet her. So in this picture, there's about $1 billion in this picture. Now, it would be a little more if I didn't have student debt. However, I'll settle for $1 billion. And so the secretary left. One small plug, the secretary left. He's, Secret Service like, hey, we're leaving. And I said, are you come back to the hotel? I'm like, nah, I got to see a good friend of mine graduate. Because I had the press pass. I was on the floor. I was right at the stage. I'm like, no, a very good buddy of mine. He used to work at the club together. We partied. We were in the same boat. It took him a little longer, but he finally graduated. And I made sure I was there right at the stage when he walked off to congratulate him. So, but the moral of that is to add value. Because all of these successful people, they're not expecting you. I think a misconception is they're expecting you to return what they do for you in kind. They're not. Taking a cap to a presidential appointee, and I got so much more than that. But all they want is for you to just add some sort of value. So look for ways to add value. So Mary had a little lamb. The fleece was white as snow. Everywhere that Mary went, absolutely. And that's your reputation. Everywhere you go, your reputation goes. Nothing you can do about it. It doesn't go with you some of the time, doesn't go with you half the time, it goes with you all the time. And your reputation is something that you have to be very intentional about building and crafting, and more importantly, protecting. And the reputation is a little more sophisticated than Mary's little lamb, because it gets to a point where your reputation goes where you're going before you get there. Your reputation precedes you, and you'll have doors open or closed before you get there based on your reputation. So personal introduction, handshake. You have to give a firm handshake. And I'm trying to end a little more practical, just a little more applications. And I have plenty of presentations on these subjects like reputation and introduction and all of these things. But I just want to capture a few of them for this presentation. Handshake. Give a firm handshake. No excuse. Nothing says I'm here to do business than a firm handshake. Nothing says I'm here to waste your time than a flimsy, weak handshake. Even if for ladies, I'm not talking squeeze because you're strong. Don't break my hand, okay? But give a firm handshake. On your resume, I review a lot of resumes of graduate students and undergraduate students alike. One thing is a common thread. On their resume, they'll say, I answered the phones. They'll say, I assisted customers in choosing a product. You got to ask yourself, everything on your resume, can a second grader do it? Second graders can answer the phones. Second graders can be nice to customers. They can say hi. They can wave at people. They can say, hey, I like that. You should get that. You have to include your accomplishments, and you have to look for them. Don't get the low-hanging fruit. Answer calls. No, you were part of a system that helped deliver constituent needs or whatever it is. You figure it out, but that's the thing. And another thing is, don't misspell words. Is misspelled in that? Oh, it's right? Is that it? Okay. So after the resume, when you're interviewing, is it misspelled? Did somebody fact check that? No? Okay. Because I had it misspelled intentionally. It is misspelled? That's what I thought. So, yeah, right. Because I saw the two L's, and this is a fancy computer, so I wasn't sure if it auto-corrected my PowerPoint. But no. Yeah, it was misspelled. And it was misspelled intentionally. I made sure the red line was up under it before But, so, don't misspell words. And when you interview, after the resume process, don't take the Conda approach. I mean, as a college student, or whether it's grad or undergrad, it's kind of easy to, want to keep your options open. And oftentimes that leads to a lot of pedestrian approaches to opportunities. Like you don't want to overcommit yourself to something and ruin another opportunity. Don't take the Conda approach. Another thing that a lot of students do, never say you're here to gain experience. Never, that goes without saying. And when you say that, you're saying I'm here to take more than I leave behind. And no company or organization wants to hear that. Know how you can add value before the interview. Google, look it up. And even as an intern, come from a place of service. So come from a place of service, whether you're an intern or you're interviewing to be a CEO. Come from a place of service. Don't be about yourself. Also, you never know who you're competing against. But if the qualifications are PhD or master's, qualifications are, you can guarantee yourself that you are competing with people who have a lot in common with you. And to that end, you must sell yourself. Set yourself apart. You got to sell yourself. And a lot of Southern schools in here, a lot of Southern people. One thing about Southern people is humility is often revered as a form of strength, right? But you be humble, but don't sit down. Stand up. Like you got to stand up and really sell yourself. And don't recite your resume. They have the resume there. When they ask you what have your experiences been, you go a little deeper than what they have in front of them on paper. So the big three, wrapping up. Gratitude. I can go on and on about it, but show appreciation. Say thank you. So many relationships and opportunities are wasted and ruined because people fail to say thank you. All people want is appreciation. It's bigger than you. You see the little you? Just in case you didn't know, it's bigger than you. So you have to remember, with everything that you do, you are somebody's dream come true. And they're dead now. They're in the ground, whether it's great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-grandparents, going back to slavery even, because a lot of African-American people in here. So the thing is that there's somebody somewhere who sacrificed a lot with you in mind. They never met you, never will meet you, but they sacrificed a lot. And slavery as a point of context, I mean, rape, just all of the things, rape and being sold and just beatings and everything. Because there were plenty of people who jumped off in the ocean because they couldn't do it. And there were other people who wanted to, jump off the ship when they were being sold into slavery, but they didn't because they had you in mind. They didn't do it for them. Doing it for them would have jumped off. But they had you in mind. They had opportunity, and they knew that because they weren't, you could, that you could be. And you got to lift as you climb. So you saw the video earlier. So I graduated from MATC December 2012. By January 2014, I started a nonprofit that helps kids pay for college and gain access to mentors and different organizations. You got to lift as you climb. You got to be the person that you needed when you were growing up, whether you had them or not. And it's important because, again, if your success doesn't help other people succeed, you're not successful. You're not. And so up to date, we've given more than $40,000 in scholarships. That's my baby. That's the baby from the earlier picture. She's 10 years old now. And these are the 2017 scholars. We gave more than $13,000 in scholarships this year to kids. It's all local grassroots funding. I like the sport of raising money. So gotta remember to lift as you climb. So that's the end of the presentation. And if I'm going to take questions now. If you don't get your question asked and answered here, I will be at Blue Sushi Sake Grill. It's right around the corner from the hotel. It is happy hour where sushi rolls go half off, starts at 10:30. So I'm going to be there as I was 2 nights ago, alone with my sushi, because I lived here before, so that's like I got to eat there at least twice while I'm here. So that's my spot. That's where I'll be at 10:30 sharp, because that's when the sushi rolls go half off. And it is absolutely, I know it sounds crazy, but the best sushi in America is in the middle of the country, the furthest points from the ocean in Nebraska. And so if you like what you heard, if you think that, I would be good to come to your school, if you want to bring me to your school or to any organization, that's information on how to book me, and that's my email below, and that is it.